I must share with you that when I was an MEC for Economic Development and Environment, this project, I signed the environmental impact assessment, but I read it carefully because I did not want to be fired by the president. So I read carefully before I signed off. So I'm happy that they are here today. And when I came in as an MEC, there were a lot of glitches with the municipality of Matlosane. Through the Premier's wisdom, we managed to unlock that. They have, in terms of project, they are actually bringing 4 billion investment on the Treasure Route N12 project. Over to you, Doc, and welcome. Thanks, you are part of this engagement.
I'm a bit tall, sorry. Maybe I should adjust this a bit here. Thank you, MEC Hosho, MEC of Feed. The Premier, I see he's not yet back in. All protocol observed. I don't want to be thanking everybody, otherwise, you know, it's going to eat a lot on my time. I need to actually talk about investment. That's basically why I'm here. I'm Dr. Martin Kuno. I come from an area in Dr. KK district called Matlosane, Klerksdorp. Though I was actually born in Rustenburg, in Putsane. But today, what I'm going to actually be talking to you about is investment. I was impressed, impressed by Mr. Joe Boweni, because what he presented here in the pledges is practical, very, very practical things that are on the ground that we need to do as investors, as developers, as people who would want to actually build the economy. We would like to actually go directly to investments. Investments that are ready, and you say you present investments that is ready. Investors want to know what is ready. They want to put their money and they must get the return. That's basically what interests investors. Now, this development is called Matlosane N12 development. It's on the N12 Treasure Route. It's a development, it's a mixed-use development of the value of about 4.5 billion rands. We've been at this development for quite a long time, around almost 10 years plus. Basically planning, doing and ensuring that we get proper approvals. MEC has just alluded to the fact that some time ago she actually signed the ROD for this development, and it's many, many years ago. When you do a development like this, you're bound to have glitches here and there, but if you plan it well, you will be able to execute it. Now we are at the implementation phase of the development, and I come to you to say, I've come with a bag full of opportunities in this development for investors. Take advantage of the investment opportunities that are there, because we've prepared that and it's ready. This is a ready project we are going to be implementing. Let me go to the next slide, a bit far. Now, that's the geographic location of where it is. It's in the northwest, it's in Klerksdorp, in Dr. KK district, along the N12 development. This is going to, right. Now, just to give a background history, this development sits on an area that spans around 1,100 hectares of land between Stelfontein and Klerksdorp. That whole piece of land between Klerksdorp and Stelfontein, that's basically how big the development is. And it is anchored by what you saw, Matlosane Mall. Matlosane Mall developers had actually been saying that it's the biggest mall in the northwest. It's basically in terms of, it's a 1 kilometer space of shopping complex. And during the development of the Matlosane Mall, we managed to create a lot of jobs for people in Matlosane. Small businesses, they benefited quite a lot when we constructed that. But that is just an anchor. In property development, when you develop do a big development like this, you need to actually anchor it. I mean, you can go to George, for instance. Before, you know, that whole George development happened, the first thing that was built there was a shopping complex. And when you build a shopping complex as big as Matlosana Mall, inevitably around it, you will have, you know, a whole lot of development mushrooming. Now, with this Matlosana development, be it being a mixed-use development, it actually covers basically the entire spectrum of various sectors. Be it tourism, you're going to be building hotels in this development. Agriculture, there is, you know, in the very same precinct, when an agro-processing plant that will be built, you know, through Matlosana Industrial Park, which basically Matlosana has actually been sanctioned and approved by the Northwest, by FEED, basically. So we've been working with various partners in this development from a long time back. What we did was to actually make sure that as we develop, we adopt a strategy of inclusivity. You get all the stakeholders on board to actually buy into the development. Stakeholders come, you know, ranging from government, you know, departments that are basically relevant to the development, a whole lot of other stakeholders, you know, government institutions and agencies that are basically pro the development. And here we're talking about Northwest Development Corporation. We've signed an MOU with them on this development to actually execute the industrial development, I mean industrial park and other developments. You then bring in, you know, CEDA and all them, that my money is there. We've had, you know, interactions with them in a way that you actually plan it in such a way that you are able to execute it with partners. And in executing it, you also become cognizant of the fact that it should not just be a development, it must actually have that empowerment, you know, platform within it. And therefore, that is where, you know, you bring in the likes of CEDA to actually come in so that they can actually impact and also be able to give direction to the development. Remember that, you know, we are going through, our country is going through a lot of economic, you know, challenges. We are going through that. I mean, if you listen to economists, you know, when they analyze basically what the economic trajectory in the country, they, you know, the message is not, you know, very, very sweet. But that does not mean that we should actually sink, you know, our heads in the sand and say, you know, bad, you know, period, the period of bad. It's just, you know, a period. We will overcome it. But what we need to do is to actually make sure that we emerge out of the sand and be able to actually, you know, bring the necessary investments in our country. I've got only 15 minutes to actually go through this. Normally when I present this, I present it, you know, over a very long period. Now, these are our partners. This is the partnership. The partnership there is the property ownership structure of Isaho currently. We've got the PIC, the GEPF, Government Employees Pension Fund, through the PIC, holding 60% shares in this development. And they hold to 60% shares, you know, the contracts have been signed. We are fortunately, like Mr. Mboweni was saying, we are not in the commissions. We are not there. This is done, you know, above board, and very fortunately, it is because of the lot of time and interaction that we've had that, you know, we are not in the commission. We are basically above board, as I say. The 40% ownership there of the structure is Isaho Properties. Isaho means the future property holdings, and the partnership with Samva Trust on an empowerment platform. Zanva Trust will ultimately own 50% of that 40% in a long run. Moedi Busile is a triple BEE partner in the development. It has actually put up, a strategy, a triple BEE strategy on this development going forward to empower SMMEs, to empower, all the stakeholders that we need to. And Anglo-Saxon is another partner. Now that's basically the extent of the land. Klerksdorp on this side, Stilfontein on this side, and the entire piece of land. As I said, it's more than 1,100 hectares of land. That is basically the master plan of the entire development. Yellow there is yellow. What you see in yellow is residential opportunities. About 16,000 residential opportunities within the development. What you see in purple there is industrial, light industrial development. And what you see in red is basically the business one units. Now the mall sits as part of that red, Matlosana Mall, and we've got opportunities like office space development, people who are in that space. We are master developers. What we do is we've actually put the whole master plan together, and we invite investors to actually take opportunity of that. Like I said, the purple along the railway line there is the part of the industrial space of the industrial park, of a larger industrial park that we're developing with Matlosana. And this is where we've actually signed an MOU with the Northwest Development Corporation to actually take the development. Very interesting, MEC Madoda is not here, but very interesting. Purple, behind the mall there's a purple area, it's institutional. And we are busy, with the stakeholders. We've signed an MOU with a hospital development group. We are proposing to actually develop a hospital, but not just a hospital, a private hospital. A hospital that will not have barrier to entry to our community. We are talking to the Department of Health to say, here is a piece of land where we would want to actually develop a hospital on a PPP model, but better still, the Northwest University and the Northwest that you can actually develop. So I would not want to really talk much about this. All that I'm saying is that there's a bag of opportunities from residential, commercial, and all that, hotels and all that. The land is available. We have actually put in infrastructure. Now we are inviting developers to say, come through, talk to us. Let's develop, our town. Let's develop our district, and let's develop our province. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Doc. I know you come a long way with this project. I can bear testimony to your dream, to the vision of development, vision of touching lives and changing lives of our people in the Northwest. And I think, Doc, you've contributed a lot actually in Matlosane from way back when some of us were still very, very young. I think also Wendy, when Doctor started to be our community doctor in Joburton, I was 21 years. This year I'm turning 49 years. And he's been contributing to the community of Matlosane. So I think we must really appreciate that. He has never actually left Northwest and say, no, there's nothing here. And he has invested in Matlosane has invested in the Northwest, and this is what we want. We would want to see all of us working like that. You see, in agriculture, they say that you don't yield the results. He knows that you need to